today we are learning more basic tap steps. This is the third video in the series of basic tap steps. So in the first video we learned all the different components of steps. We have, toe taps and heels and digs and brushes and spanks and stuff like that. So you learned all the different components. And then in the second video we took some of those components and learned some of the basic steps, all based around a shuffle. This video is going to center around flaps and steps that use brushes and spanks to move across the floor or just in a general direction. So the first step that we need to learn is a flap. So a flap is two parts. And again, with tap, a lot of times when you say the step, it has the number of syllables as it does counts of the step, which I think is like the coolest thing in the world. Sorry, it's like my favorite piece of tap trivia. And it's not for every step, but it is for a good bit of them. So for a flap, you have a brush and a step. And if we remember from before, a brush starts from up here, so it doesn't come from the floor, it starts above the floor. You brush in a direction. For flaps, we're gonna pick forward. And then you step. A step has all of your weight on it, so you have a weight transfer to that foot, and there's no heel on the floor. A step is just the toe tap. So you have brush, step. And so your left foot is now free, and you would do brush, step. Now when you're first learning it, it's okay that they're that big. And you would take it across the floor. My across the floor is like this big, but that's okay. I can at least show you a few times. So you would take this step and move it in a direction. So you have brush, step, brush, step, brush, step, brush, step. And you make sure that you transfer your weight every single time. So let's try a couple of those together. So you have 5, 6, 7, 8. Brush, step, brush, step, brush, step, brush, step. Awesome. So technically, yes, it's a brush step. However, when you start getting faster, you don't want to think so much about the brush going forward as you do about the brush going down. So it comes from up to down, kind of like we talked about with shuffles, where the brush is not technically forward back, it's more of a down up. Same thing with flaps, but instead of a shuffle where it came back up, it goes one brush down and then step on it. And now this foot's free. One brush down, step. If you think about it as a down motion, you cannot just take them across the floor, you can also do them in place. Brush, step, brush, step, brush, step, brush, step. So that is a flap. The next one we're going to do is a flap heel. So it starts exactly the same as a flap. You have brush and step. Brush, step. Now the next thing you're going to do is a heel. Drop your heel to the floor. Perfect. That's it. So it's brush, step, heel. Brush, step, heel. Brush, step, heel. Now you want your weight to have fully transferred by the time you step. It's not a moment where you have to brush, step, and then your weight's still on your back heel, and now you transfer it on the heel. It has to be on the step. So it'll be brush, step, drop your heel. Brush, step, drop your heel. That's a flap heel. So let's do that. So you have 5, 6, 7, 8. Brush, step, drop your heel. Brush, step, heel. Brush, step, heel. Brush, step, heel. So you can see it from the back. We're going to do 4 more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Brush, step, heel. Brush, step, heel. Brush, step, heel. Brush, step, heel. All right, that is a flap heel. The next step we're going to learn is a flap ball change. In the last video, the one with the shuffles, and I think the first one, we learned what a ball change is. You simply change the weight of the balls of your feet. So I'm standing on my right foot, and I step back on the left, and then I step back on the right. Ball change. So if you do a flap, you have brush step. Nice brush step. My weight is on my right foot. To do the ball change, my left foot is free. The left foot steps first, and then I step back on the right. So you're just changing the weight of your feet from one foot to the other. So to do a flap ball change, it is 4 counts. Flap, ball, change. Remember that syllable thing. So cool. Flap, ball, change. Flap, ball, change. Brush, step, step back, step front. Brush, step, step back, step front. All right, let me show you from the back. So you have brush, step, step, step. Brush, step, ball, change. Flap, ball, change. Flap, ball, change. So when you do the flap, remember your weight steps on that step. My weight is on this foot. Then I switch it to here. Then I switch it to here. Ball change. So we learned flap, we learned flap heel, and we learned flap ball change. Those are going to be crucial to everything that you do in tap. You're going to do those so much in your tap career. All right, and that concludes our flap portion for right now. Now we're going to talk about moving backwards. So instead of flap moving forwards, you can actually take it backwards. Because remember, it's not just a brush forward and a step. Like I said, it's really just a brush in any direction and a step. So we're going to talk about spank step and brush step. So technically these are back flaps. So first we'll do brush step because we're used to brushing. Brush comes from off the floor. So you have brush, step, brush, step, brush, step, brush, step. So instead of brushing forward and stepping, you're lifting and brushing backward and stepping. Brush back, step, brush back, step. And you have to make sure that you lift before you brush. So let's do that one more time with each other. 5, 6, 7, 8. Brush, step, brush, step, brush, step, brush, step. Now a really good way to make sure that you're not going to fall over when you're doing that, because balance is a thing. So when I'm moving backward, and remember, always with the bent knees, when I'm moving backward, I tend to lean a little bit forward, because it creates a counterbalance. Brush, step, brush. See, I could stay there. Step, brush, step. Versus if I stand up perfectly straight, I'm going to start leaning back, and it's going to take me too far back. So when I'm moving backward, I tend to lean a little bit forward. The opposite is not true for moving forward. You really just want to be centered over this for when you're moving forward. And you want to stay up. You want to stay as much as you can. Pull up, pull up. Now, I wouldn't lean over this far in either when you're moving either direction. But moving backwards can tend to get a little balance checky. Very technical term. So you want to make sure that you have like a little bit of counterbalance going on. Everybody's body is different though, so I can't tell you exactly where to put it. Everyone's body just functions differently, it's shaped differently, it's weighted differently. So just make sure that you figure out, oh, this is where I'm comfy. I like this. And that's your placement. So that is a brush step backwards. Now we're going to talk about spank step. So to do a spank step, remember a spank comes from the floor. A spank step, you just lift your toe, spank, step. Remember, there's no heel. So right now, we're not going to move with these. We're just going to talk about them. These are coming in a little while. So you have spank, step. You pick it up, your heel stays on the floor. It's just spank, step. So let's try the other foot. Left foot, we have spank, step. This is my left foot. I don't know which way the video is facing, but whichever foot you didn't just do that one. So you have lift, spank, step. All right, showing from the back, you have spank, step. You want to transfer all of that weight. And we're only going to do one. We're not going to do one and then the other, just because you can't, like you're here, spank, step. You can do one more spank step from the left. We'll talk about that in a second, but I just want to get the mechanics of it. So spank, step. So with the left foot, one more time, you have spank, step, or the other foot. Like I said, I don't know if it's a foot. So we're going to try 2 spank steps. We're going to do one foot and then the other. So you have spank, step. Now your front foot is down and you're going to do the exact same thing. Spank, All right, let's do that one more time. I'll face this way. So we have spank, step, spank, step. One more time, just for good measure. Yep, 5, 6, 7, 8. Spank, step, spank, step. Okay, so that is a spank step, and we had a brush step. Try to remember the difference. So we have 3 more things. This next step is probably one of my favorites. It's a little complicated, but it's one of the most fundamental tap steps in my opinion. This is called a riff. So R-I-F-F, riff. And that's a word that's used in a lot of different things. You have it used in music for singers who go off on riffs and their voice goes like up and down and it makes me dizzy and I love it. And then you can also have a guitar riff. Yeah, riffs are just, it's a multi-use word, but in tap it's a very specific step. You are going to take your foot, I'll face the back for this. You're going to take your right foot and you're going to brush it forward but stop halfway. Brush. Oh, I stopped. Now I'm going to flip it to the heel and continue with a scuff. So it is a brush scuff. If you remember, a brush is just the toe and a scuff is just a heel. So they move multiple directions, but today we're learning them forward. So you have a brush and a scuff, but you're going to put them together in one pendulum swing. Brush, scuff. Brush, scuff. Okay, let's try the other foot. So you have brush, scuff. So you want to make sure that you have that little switch halfway through. That is a riff. A riff is consistent of 2 sounds. I know it is 1 syllable. This is one of those exceptions. It has 2 sounds. Brush, scuff. So from there, I'm going to teach you a 3-count riff. Very, very cool step. It starts exactly like that. So it starts exactly with brush, scuff. The next thing that you do, you lift and drop your standing heel. Heel. That's a 3-count riff. Brush, scuff, heel. Brush, scuff, heel. Try the other foot. We have brush, scuff, heel. One more time, that same foot. Brush, scuff, heel. Now, the most important part of that step when you're doing it in rhythm is typically the heel that you're lifting and dropping. Because usually the rhythm goes and a 1. So it would be and a 1. And since that's the 1, that's the most important part. Because what people hear is 1, 2, 3, 4. All the other rhythms enhance that beat. But that's the main beat. You can't miss that one. That's the 1. You can't miss 1. You can't miss 1, and you can't miss 8. So you have brush, scuff, heel. All right, one more time on the left. Brush, scuff, heel. One more time on the right. 5, 6, 7, 8. Brush, scuff, heel. Left. 5, 6, 7, 8. Brush, scuff, heel. All right. So we have 2 more things. I lied. So the last thing I want to teach you is actually a 5-count riff. And why I lied and said it's 2 things is because I first have to teach you a dig step, which I think we might have done in the first video, but I didn't film that one today, so I don't remember. So you have dig, toe. You dig, you just put your heel on the floor, remember? Bent knees. And now, like you're crushing a really, really crunchy leaf, toe. So it's dig, toe, dig, toe. And you can walk like this. This is a way, I feel like this is how Fred Astaire walked to the grocery store. It's how I walk to the grocery store. Ask anyone around here riding their bike and what is that girl doing? Honestly, it's like the cutest little walk, but it's just dig and then toe. Dig and then toe. You want to transfer your weight on that toe. dig, your weight's not on it. Toe, your weight is on it. Dig, dig, facing the back just so that you can see. Dig, toe, dig, toe, dig, toe, dig. So I had to teach you that so that we could combine it with the 3-count riff. You're going to do a 3-count riff and then a dig toe. So, and then I'm going to tell you a very, very funny thing after this. So I'll face the back. So you have brush, scuff, heel, the 3-count riff, and then this foot that's up, you're going to put it down with a dig, and then transfer weight on the toe. That's the whole thing. So try it on the left. You have brush, scuff, heel, and then dig, and now toe. So we took 2 things that you just learned how to do, and all we did was put them together. So if you're looking at, oh no, it's 5-count riff, it's so complicated. It's not. Look at it as the sum of its parts. You know the parts, just put the parts together. So let's go a little bit across the floor. I'll go straight across so you can really see. So you have that brush, scuff, heel, dig, step. Now your left foot's free. Try this one. Brush, scuff, heel, dig, step. Okay, let's try the other side. We have brush, scuff, heel, dig, step, brush, scuff, heel, dig, step. This is a 5-count riff. Some people call it a 5-beat riff. Doesn't matter. 5-something riff. That's what you're looking at. I call it a 5-count riff. So with this, you have brush, scuff, heel, dig, step. The heel is going to be our 1. We're going to learn a little bit of a rhythm to it, and then you're going to laugh a little, but it's okay. So you have brush, scuff, heel, dig, step, and a 1 and 2. Okay, so it's and a 1 and 2, and a 3 and 4. Okay, let's do it twice. 5, 6, 7, and a 1 and 2, and a 3 and 4. Let's try it one more time. 5, 6, 7, and a 1 and 2, and a 3 and 4. This next thing I'm about to tell you, I also talk about in my riff tutorial that I have on my YouTube channel. It's an entire video dedicated to just this step, just the riff. So if you need another review or if you want to work with that a little bit more, please go check that out. I do talk about this in that video because it's just one of the greatest things ever. So there's a song that totally fits this rhythm, and I guarantee every single one of you guys know this song. It's the theme from Jurassic Park. So while you're doing riffs, from now on, it's going to be very, very hard not to envision a bunch of velociraptors doing riffs. And I have a dream. And it's that I have a tap class that all gets T-Rex suits and does 5-count riffs across the floor. Please make this happen. I will dress as the what's his name, Chris Pratt, and then lead a whole bunch of dinosaurs across the floor. This is my dream. All right. So we have da 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 da. That's the rhythm. Da, 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 da. You're never gonna get this out of your head now. So that's a really, really good way though to practice the rhythm. And a 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and a 5 and 6. So let's do a couple to that rhythm. Now that that song's stuck in your head, I'm just going to count it. I'm not going to sing it anymore. All right? 5, 6, 7. And a 1 and 2. And a 3 and 4. One more. And a 5 and 6. You will never unhear that as long as you live. All right, so that concludes this basics video. We covered full lap heel, full lap ball change, and then we covered, my sheet is gone. Oh, brush step, dig step, riff, 3 count riff, 5 count riff. I meant spank step when I said dig step, my bad, but we did cover that too. It's a lot of stuff, so real quick, I'm just gonna walk through each one of those things one more time. So for flap, you have brush step, brush step, brush step. Flap heel, brush step heel. Flap ball change, brush step, 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 brush step, change your weight, change your weight. Flap ball change. Then we have brush backward step. So you're up and you go brush, step, brush, step, brush, step. So that's a back flap, backwards flap. Then you also have spank step. You have heels on the floor, you just lift your toe, spank, step, spank, step. I'll do that one more time. So the difference between brush is that brush starts up here and spank starts down here. You have spank, step, spank, step. And then the last thing we did was a riff. So you have that brush scuff. That's a regular riff, 2 counts. Then a 3 count riff, you have brush, scuff, lift and drop your heel. Then a 5 count riff where you turn into a velociraptor into brush, scuff, heel, dig, step. The song's still in your head. I know it is. All right, well, thank you so much for learning these basic steps with me as part of this Basic Steps series. I hope you had a lot of fun, and go watch Jurassic Park so that song finally gets out of your head, I guess. Sorry. Thank you for dancing with me today.